Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Backup Stories. My name is Justin Townsend. As always, I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Rob Newmeyer.
How's it going?
Rob, it's been a weird week.
Yes.
Comic-wise, not that big.
No, it was a very small week in terms of books.
Movie news-wise, quite the week.
Yes.
And so
quite a bit trailers,
yeah,
like a lot of trailers.
A lot of trailers have smacked us in the face in the last week, and I guess that's where we'll start. Let's go in order. I think it was about a week ago. It was Monday, actually, that the new AntMan trailer came out.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts?
I'm psyched. Honestly, I think a lot of people don't have expectations for the movie. But look what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy.
I know. The only thing about Ant-Man is it's like, I mean, I had the same worry about Guardians. I've actually had the same worry about most of the Marvel movies. I mean, Guardians was the one that was like really out there. And, you know, Ant-Man, they're doing like right away, right after that, which seems daring. You know, it makes me nervous. They lost the director, but, you know, I trust Marvel when it comes to director stuff. The first trailer they showed, there wasn't really that much humor in it. It was like the bits that were there were very dry. It like, I don't think I've been this nervous for a Marvel film since the original Iron Man. After I saw a trailer or two for Guardians, I got like a really good feeling. I was like, oh wow, like they're gonna knock this out of the park. It was just like a feeling that I had immediately after watching the trailer. After the first Ant-Man trailer, I was like a little bit unsure. This one's helping me get on more firm ground about it, but I'm still as nervous for this film as I was for the original Iron Man.
I think it's gonna have a lot of humor that we're just not seeing. This was the first trailer that there was those couple of
there was a couple of
jokes.
Things. Yeah,
I think it's going to be there, and that's what's going to win everyone over.
I liked when it was Michael Douglas and Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's like, I'm done breaking into places and stealing stuff. What do you need me to do? And Michael Douglas is like, I need you to break in somewhere and steal something.
It was perfect.
Paul Rudd makes sense. That was like when I saw that, I started feeling a little bit better about it.
The last shot, the Thomas
the Train. I actually didn't see that the first time I watched it because I was watching it at the ball game with my dad, and so like the service wasn't great. It wasn't coming in completely clear, and I just, you know, I didn't stick around till that after the, you know, the date. I think it's July something, the 16th or something like that. And they showed that part after it, and when I got to watch it another time or the second time, I saw that, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good.
I'm very happy.
Yeah, like I'm getting excited for it, whereas before it was kind of just like, oh yeah, that's right, Ant-Man's coming. Like I only could care about the Avengers right now. But after watching it, like I'm pumped up, but I'm nervous. Like I'm a little bit anxious about it.
It makes sense, but the best thing is like we're both absolutely not Star Wars fans.
Nope.
I've seen the movies, but I just don't have like that passion that true Star Wars fans have. And that was just released yesterday.
Yeah, I must have watched that trailer. I'm not even going to exaggerate. I've watched it about 25 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like I sit there at work all day, and like I like the sounds, like I like the music in the background. So I just rewind it and listen to it a bunch. And well, like the first time I watched it, I knew that I think it's the Star Wars experience. The convention's going on in Anaheim right now, and you know, like it's one of those things. I've talked about it when we talk about the Star Wars books. You know, I am a very casual fan when it comes to Star Wars. I have no ill will towards it. Same thing with Star Trek in a way. It's like, you know, for nerds, it's like, or geeks, like, and I wear that term with pride. Like, it's like you have your pillars. You have like, you know, comic books, video games, and then it's usually Star Trek, Star Wars, and then like, you know, Doctor Who is another one of those that I'm on the outside looking in at. But like, I've dabbled in Star Trek and Star Wars, but never really grabbed anything on it. And you know, like the books, so I was like, oh, I'm like getting excited. I thought it was exciting when that trailer came out like 4 or 5 months ago. And so we were talking about it, and you're like, oh, they're about to show the trailer, and I was like, I guess I'll watch. And so I went to the website, and it like, of course it froze for me, but then Twitter's so helpful, it was up like 10 seconds later, and I watched it, and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna cry. Like, I don't even like Star Wars, and I completely got what they were going for.
Yeah, like I said, like between the Knights of the Old Republic game and the old Battlefront games, that's where I got most of my lore from, not the movies. So to be excited seeing this trailer, it was weird for me. But I just love the look. I think cinematography is absolutely beautiful. Man, it just looks great.
Yeah, like I remember seeing the trailers for the prequel movies, and like none of those had the feeling that this one had. And I know that people have problems with J.J. Abrams. You know, hardcore Trek fans don't like the way he did those movies. But me not being a hardcore Trek fan, like I like those movies. Like I've never really seen the original one, so I didn't have a problem with them. So like seeing seeing J.J. Abrams' name attached to this, I was like, I like that dude. So you know, I have a feeling this was going to be good. But like watching it, and like I have a bunch of friends on Twitter now who are big Trekkies, excuse me, Star Wars fans. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that now. They were like in tears over it. You know, Matt, who's a friend of ours in California, I know he was at the convention, and he was like jumping up and down about it, and like that magic that people talk about when people talk about Star Wars, like the hardcore fans, they talk about like that magic that the films have, and like I've never really experienced it, but just like you've had those 3 original films, and then the what was it, like 18 years between 83 and I think it was like 99 when the first prequel came out. Like the wait for that, right? But like those people who went and saw it in 83, like they're finally getting the continuation of the story that they went and they saw, you know, what happens after Return of the Jedi, and that this is finally picking that stuff up. So like for us as like big Marvel fans, like if this would be like if the Avengers, like, you know, Infinity War comes and it happens in a couple of years, and then we have to wait for 30 something years for the next film to come out. Like the excitement was palpable. You could feel it like everywhere I looked. I could feel the excitement of this trailer, and it did its job. Like after Avengers, like this is the next movie I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be there opening weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And then we have our last one, which is actually just was fully released.
Officially
released 10 minutes ago. We have the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice trailer, which, well, like it originally aired this morning. Like there were leaks of it last night, but I didn't catch any of them. And then a friend of ours, Hugh, sent us a link this morning where I was watching it while brushing my teeth this morning. It was like, because I knew it was going to get taken down right away. So I was like, let me at least see this. And it was on, you know, shaky cam. But
that whoever that dude was, it seems like he drank 50 cups of coffee because he could not keep that phone straight.
It's a very simple thing you're doing. Like I always find that so amazing when people are, it's like, oh, I'm going to take this video so that people can see this, no matter what it is, and then they would just shake the camera all over the place.
I think what would have made it 50 times better is if he held it vertical. At least he held it the correct way.
God. All right, so my thoughts right away is I had just got done talking and like thinking about this Star Wars trailer that you see, and it just brings a whole mess of emotion to you. And this trailer left me completely flat. And so like now that we've seen it, we were discussing like, all right, how do you want to talk about this on the show? Because we saw like a bootleg cell phone video, but before the show started, we actually got to sit and watch the real thing. And I don't know, like I am not as hardcore a hater of Man of Steel as other people associated with the site. Like I own the film. I don't think it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I find it watchable. I like it. I find it like actually beautiful to look at, which is what, like, you know, I go to see a summer popcorn movie about, and I'm like not the biggest Superman fan in the world. So, you know, I realize the issues people have with it, but I don't think it's as bad as people say. But man, watching this trailer, I'm a little bit worried. Like, and by a little bit, I mean like I'm really actively worried now.
Yeah, it was dark, I guess you could say.
It's not even the fact that it was dark for me.
No, I'm just saying not dark in terms of like grim and gritty.
Like it was in the dark.
Dark, yes.
Yeah, okay. Which for Batman, you know, that makes sense. Like if we're going to be hanging out in Gotham City, and the thing that gives me serious pause, it's the way the film looks visually so far. And I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. Like I've seen 300. I've seen actually a lot of his films. Like the style in 300 works in 300. That like slow down, very what's the word I'm looking for here? Like just the word style, like artistic, stylized. Like you have a person on the screen, but like there's really nothing behind them. It's just like always like light behind them. There's never anything really there. It's like the green screen look. That's what I'm looking for. It was super prevalent in Sucker Punch, which Rob and I talked about. But in Man of Steel, it really wasn't there that much. Like the film had a definite style to it, but it wasn't like that the whole thing was filmed in front of a green screen. Like it didn't look like 300 in a way. And this trailer, watching it, like we got a lot of money shots of Superman like catching something with both arms and like holding it up and like moving in slow motion. And it's just like that makes me kind of nervous.
Almost everything was in slow motion other than where the Batwing flies down.
That's
right?
true. Yeah. I mean, it looks nice, but like I want, like, to me, that like if the film's like that, it doesn't have any substance. Like 300 has a little bit of substance, but most of the time you're looking at like, this looks crazy. And like, I want this film to be more than just like, look at all these gorgeous shots that we made up. Like that's what if Man of Steel succeeded in one thing, it made me believe that Zack Snyder could do a film that wasn't about that. Even though there were really beautiful parts in it, that wasn't what the whole film was about.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember when the first Man of Steel trailer came out, or even the teaser, like everyone was amazed and happy.
Oh yeah.
So especially this early, I mean, we're still almost a year out at this point.
I know.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like to say that, I don't like a trailer, that's fine, because it could be just snippets of,
things that might not even be in the film, but your trailers do that.
Correct. Yeah. So, as in terms of just judging the trailer, I don't enjoy the trailer, and I hope the whole movie is not like that. That's what I could say about
Was there anything that you saw in the trailer that you did like?
I don't mind how the suit looked. I like Batman's suit.
Okay, I liked Batman's suit a lot. There's that scene where he's like stepping out of wreckage.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now that is a bat suit. Like you look at that and you're like 100% that's Batman. I mean, the Nolan films, they kind of took their own spin on like what a real looking bat suit would look like, but that looks
a
functional bat suit. Yeah. And this looks real nice.
Yeah, I like the short ears. Some people are bothered by that, but it doesn't bother me at all. I like how it looks. I like how, you saw the one shot of Ben Affleck in the suit. I think he looks great.
The ideas are what what's the word I'm looking for here? The concepts that Batman may be the bad guy in this film is kind of running rampant right now. Mm-hmm. And like, I didn't think about that at all. Batman v Superman. It's like, oh, they're gonna fight, and then they're gonna come together at the end and save the day, because this is leading up to the Justice League.
And that's every superhero team up is a
pretty
misunderstanding.
Yeah, the Avengers was that. Let's all fight and punch each other in the face, and then oh wait, we should punch other things in the face instead, and now we're a team. That's all good and fine, but it seemed like the tone that they were setting was about Batman. The feeling of helplessness sometimes makes a man go cruel, and like, I'm hoping that that's not the whole thing, where it's just like Batman is just like a jerk the whole time and like, doing a vendetta against Superman. So I guess, I mean, like you said, we're a year away, and this is our first real look at it, and it's a teaser. I don't think it's like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
So, it's an opening salvo for what the film, is going to look like possibly. I think the reaction, I mean, people are just happy to see the two characters in the same space. Let's see more. Like, it's hard to judge off one teaser, but it was just a little bit disappointing to not have that excitement. Like, even like we said, like as non-Star Wars fans, like we felt that excitement, and like that's what I was kind of hoping to feel with this, was like come away like, yes, like I'm pumped. Instead, I feel like, okay, I'm a little bit worried, but like you said, we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. And yeah, that's all we
that's
can
it.
do.
That's all we can do. So that's it for the movie stuff. Let's get into the books. Let's get into the books of the week. I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with some stuff I actually got to pick up last week, but didn't get to read it until this week. I'm going to start with Jupiter's Legacy. This is volume 1. This is from Image. It's Mark Millar and Frank Quitely. we've talked about Mark Millar on the show. We're going to actually talk about him a couple times tonight. I'm a fan of Millar. Rob is not.
No, I like his stuff. He just pisses me off in terms of his lateness and just his nonchalance towards, making a deadline, I guess.
Oh, I mean, that 100% makes me angry. Jupiter's Legacy started, I think that, man, where's the forward? I think this started in 2013. And that's crazy.
It had to have.
Yeah. I read the first 2 or 3 issues and then never got to actually go back. No, it's April 2015. That's because this just came out. So I read the first 2 or 3 issues of this, and it pretty much deals with the idea of, it opens up in the 30s where there's these people on a boat and they're going to an island, and the lead character is like, the island is calling to me. And they go on the island and they come back and they have superpowers and they pull America out of the Depression. And then it jumps forward into present day where they, 2 of the heroes married, had children, and it deals with the children.
And before we go any further, spoilers?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're a spoiler show.
Yes.
Same thing as last week.
So expect spoilers.
Expect spoilers from here on out.
From here on out with the rest of the show, because we're not going to hold our tongue.
Yeah. So I really like this. Like, I'm a fan of Millar, but this is probably one of my favorite things he's done. I put this right up there with Old Man Logan and Superior, which are my 2 favorite things. I love superheroes, but getting like dark tales on superheroes isn't a thing that's done really well, and it's not done very often. Like getting that really dark spin, and this has a spin. Like there's a darkness. There's a darkness here. Like the main idea of the book is that the children are trying to overthrow the parents, and they're getting ideas pumped into them that are going to lead to ruin. And we don't know that. Like only reading the first 2 issues of this, I didn't really know what to expect. And you get the unexpected. Like there are characters that die. This book has a time jump that I didn't see coming, and I had no idea, but this is just the opening arc of this book. Like mostly with Millar, you're getting a book like Superior, like, or MPH, or what was his other one? Super Criminals, or what was that one with
Kickass?
Kickass actually continued. But there was another one, Wanted was one and done. There was another one with, I can't think of, where they got in a lot of trouble because they were like, what if Batman was the Joker? Do you remember that tagline? I can't remember the name of that book. It's going to come to me later.
That's being continued though.
It is?
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years since that's come out.
I know what you're talking about.
Nemesis. There you go.
At the same time.
Yep. So like I thought this was a one and done book, and I was wrong. When I got to the end, it's like, oh wow, like I immediately want to keep reading whatever this is. Quietly's art is great. I mean, you have to be a fan of Quietly. He has a very distinct style.
I absolutely love him.
Yeah. I mean, there are parts where it's like, man, like sometimes Quietly, some stuff doesn't work for me, but then you get to certain pages and you're like, oh, this works for me. His style like goes up and down for me in a way that like some artists don't. Like I could really, really, really like something, and then the next book I see, it's like, I'm not too sure. But this ranges towards the good.
Is that like Ramita Jr.?
Yeah, I don't like any Ramita Jr. stuff though.
You never did? Like the old Spidey stuff?
Even the old Spidey stuff. Like that stuff was, in my mind, it was like, okay. I was like, this is... coming into comics, I was like, I just don't like this art. But then I've seen some of his newer stuff, and I'm like, that old stuff was much better. I say give this a shot. Like Rob, I'm convincing Rob to read it, because he has his feelings on Millar. But like, I really think you should read this. It's like you've already read the first one or two, you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth. I think it's definitely worth continuing, because the last 2 issues are the part that really made me go, I like this a lot. Like there's the time jump that happens.
The time jump because he had that long to write it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like 5 years later, he's like, I'm going to finish this book. I had no idea the last issue of this actually even came out. That's like that. There was no hype around it. It came out, and then I was like, oh wow, they're coming out with another book with the name Jupiter. And Rob's like, that's because they finished Legacy. It's coming out in trade. So I wanted to pick it up and read it. And I'm glad that I did. And now I'm giving it to you as homework assignment that I want you to read this. So take it. So that takes us actually into what made me really want to get into it again. is Jupiter's Circle. So Jupiter's Legacy deals with the parents, getting old, and now that the children, it really becomes the children's book. But Jupiter's Circle is actually a prequel, and it's right after these people get their powers. And the tagline for the book is like, even your parents were young once. Different artists. This is Wilfredo Torres, and it's a completely different style. What would you say this is like? Anything that comes to your mind right away?
I would say like a cartoony noirish.
Yeah. I was trying to make a comparison to another artist's
the
Daredevil, maybe a little bit.
Invincible.
Yeah, I could see Invincible. It looks like this is a book that could have been very easily drawn in 1950, but just modernized in a way. And it's gorgeous. It is super nice. And it deals it deals with a lot of things. It deals with these people with their, having their powers, and their, they have secret identities. They're having to keep up their secret identities. There's their sexual orientation. Some of the characters that comes into play in question back then. And they dive right into that. They dive into the tabloids and how the tabloids are clawing at them. It's completely different from Jupiter's Legacy, but it's it's another continuation of these characters in a way. And it's nice, having read Jupiter's Legacy first, it's kind of nice to see where they came from a bit. And this is the first issue. It is going to be, I think, a mini, because it's Millar, and most things are. And then hopefully he goes back and starts writing the second thing to Legacy. So I say give this a shot. It's worth it just for the art. And I would, you'd like to probably read this first and then read Legacy, but who knows when this is going to keep going.
That's what I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you think it would hurt the potency of Legacy if you were to read this first?
No, definitely not. I don't think so at all. I think reading Legacy first is probably the right idea, because you get to read that, and hopefully by the time that you actually go, you get it, you read it, you sit down, you read it, that hopefully more issues of this will be out. But I think they're far enough apart in time that it's not something that you have to worry about. You're not spoiling anything. What happens in that book, okay, it happens, and then you come back here and you see the characters before they die.
Okay.
So that's Jupiter's Circle.
Let's continue the Millar train.
Oh God, I didn't realize I didn't know we put so many books in a row. Quickly, let's talk about Chrononauts #2.
Uh-huh.
You just read this, so I had read it on Wednesday when we got home from the Talking Games podcast, and I liked this a lot. I liked it much more than issue 1. I told you I want this to be on the show this week to talk about it, so that we could see what's going on. Now, you sat down and read it right before we recorded. What'd you think?
I liked it. I think it's an interesting tale on the whole time travel story, because everyone is so used to you go back in time, don't touch anything, the whole butterfly effect. You're gonna crush something, and then it's gonna change the future. These guys don't give a fuck.
Well, that's the thing, is at the end of issue 1, the one guy, out of the two guys, the two jackasses, the good jackass kind of gets lost in the time stream, and the Johnny Storm character wants to go save him. So he jumps in. It ends with him getting shot in the knee or the leg with an arrow, and then it picks up right there. And then he finds out that the people that were, when the first issue ends, he's looking forward, and that's where he gets shot in the arrow from. But he doesn't realize the people on his back have SUVs and Jeeps, and machine guns. So he comes to find that the guy he's looking for, his friend, has been living there for years and has just decided, F it, I don't care. I'm just going to go hop around the time stream and get rich and make myself an emperor. He's the emperor of Japan. He's the pharaoh in Egypt. He's heading up, I guess, the mobsters in the 20s. He's like, I have nothing to go back to. Because in the first issue, they show his wife and everything. His wife had left him, and he's like, what? I have no reason to go back. I lost my dad. I lost my wife. I'm just going to stay here and have 45 different girlfriends.
I love, and it's kind of cheesy, but the best part is they have all this wealth and money, yet they still feel the need to go cheat at roulette. by like giving themselves the numbers the night before, the winning numbers.
You see, that's something I didn't even notice when you showed it to me tonight. You know, because I was just, this book is like, it's Sean Murphy, so it's beautiful. So I've been taking in everything else, but like they're at the roulette table and they're actually waving to their older selves up on a balcony, like, "Hey, thanks for those winning numbers from last night." So like they don't care about the time stream
they
at
have
all.
like $billion jets and stuff. Yet they're gonna make a couple of $1,000 at the roulette table.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's great to just see like the hijinks that they get into, from going back to the dinosaurs to, I mean, there's a thing here where they're in Scotland, 1314, and it's like, "Hey, how did you conquer the English so easily?" And they go, "Tactics, my friend, just plain tactics." But they have tanks. So they go back to the Bronx 530 million years ago. They're going to go see some other things that you could probably picture. So like, I like this new concept, because at the end of the first issue, you figure, all right, this is we're lost in time kind of black science feeling, where it's like, oh, the one guy might be lost, but we're looking, he's looking for them. And you figure, oh, nope, this kind of flips the book on its head. And the part that makes it real interesting is that they were still on TV the whole time. Like, that was the whole point of it, was that people could see them go back in time. So now they're being chased by a government team who's like, we got to go catch these guys. So now it's going to be like a real chase through time.
Yeah, because I guess my guess is that the general public sees what assholes they are. So, so there's a team that will be going after them come next issue.
So I liked the first issue, but I liked where this went much, much more.
Yep.
I'm more excited to read the book now than I was after issue 1.
Nope, same here.
So let's get into something that I'm not super excited about, but you kind of helped me out in a little bit of a way.
The next issue of Convergence number 2. This is very interesting in the fact that it's an Earth 2 story. I don't know if this was supposed to be like a major DC event. I think this was just something that they might have already had written or planned, and then they were like, okay, well, let's just use this to bridge our stories, because it's, I mean, now 3 issues in, 0, 1, 2, all Earth 2.
Yeah, and for me, who's not reading Earth 2 or never has really read it, like, it is confusing as all hell to sit here and read this. I don't understand any, like, I have the concept, like, after talking to you, that, Earth 2 people lost their Earth and everything, but man, this feels like a giant mess to me. And like, I want to like it. And every issue I read, I come back away and it's like, I don't know if I should just keep reading this and be just bewildered at what's going on, or just pick up after this is over. Because I mean, there are such good ideas. Like, it's such a great cover. Like, you have Thomas Wayne. It's going to meet his son, Bruce. Like, I saw this and I was like wishy-washy. Then I saw the cover and I was like, I want to see this. Like, this is like Peter meeting Uncle Ben.
Yep.
Like, I have to know what that's about. And it's done in the most disappointing fashion I can imagine.
Yeah, you don't see a thing they say. It's narrated by someone else.
It's not even that it's not even like what they say is narrated. It's like they meet, they take off their masks. It's Alfred kind of talking to another Alfred, and then at the end, it's like, "Oh, your father would be proud of you because I'm proud of you." And then it's like, "Take care of yourself, Bruce. Take care of yourself, Thomas." Like, there's no interaction there between the two of them. It's like these two men who one put on the costume because his father died, one put on the costume because his son died. It's like, I wanted to see them interacting. Like, the best. I mean, they should have just left it alone and like left that moment in time in Flashpoint, where the note that the Flashpoint Thomas, writes to his son Bruce, and the Flash brings it back, and then Batman frames it and hangs it in the cave. But like, this was like just the ultimate tease. It's like, why even put them on the cover? They spend less than like 2 panels with each other.
Yeah, it was Alfred talking to Dick, by the way. It's not Alfred talking to another Alfred.
I thought it was.
No, it's.
Let me see something here.
Alfred and Dick.
Yeah, but see here. Let me see something for one quick second while we're going in here. It looks like Dick.
It is.
He said something about Earl Grey, though.
He said, "How do you know I like Earl Grey?" Because he knows.
Oh, yes.
He knows his Dick.
My mistake.
Okay. No, I'm just. I don't want anyone to tweet at you and saying it wasn't Alfred. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, I was like all excited. I'm like, oh, it makes sense because I thought one Alfred was young, one Alfred was old, one Batman was young, one Batman was old.
No, it's Grayson from the beginning.
Yeah. There we go.
So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna stick with it because I love the Earth 2 stuff. What Tom Taylor did with that universe and James Robinson started, and then what it ended with, I thoroughly enjoyed. So I really, really hope that this isn't just one of those bridges between the end of Earth 2 World's End and the new Earth 2 series. I don't know. Are you still questioning that it's...
You know what? Here's the panel that screwed me up is because you're right. That is Dick because he saw Barbara. But is everything all... He goes, the main Alfred goes, is everything all right, sirs? And Bruce says, thank you, Alfred. Thomas says, Alfred, we need to be on our way. And I thought that he was talking to the other guy. Okay. I thought there were two Alfreds there that they were messaging because that is a weird way of writing it.
Yep.
All right. That makes... looking back at it now, obviously, he saw the picture of Barbara and you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So... I'm gonna stick on it and hopefully pick up more. But from what you said, if this is just an Earth 2 event that they're using to bridge to whatever's going on next, and like they decided to pull the rest of the DC universe into it, I mean they've done that. They've done stuff like this before. Other companies have. Like AVX took on a life of its own. Axis took on a life of its own and took over the whole Marvel universe. Like that was supposed to be a closed event. So it's like we've seen Marvel do this type of thing before. And I'm hopeful that it gets better and easier to understand for people who haven't been like heavy invested into DC.
Yeah, we'll see.
We also have a Valiant book.
Yay.
Another #1 from Valiant. This is Bloodshot Reborn. And this book was really good.
It was hilarious.
Yes, it was. And I did not expect it at all. Like this is from Jeff Lemire. So this is Jeff Lemire's Valiant book. He had written The Valiant, which we had talked about, that miniseries a couple of weeks ago. That ended with the Geomancer K dying in Bloodshot's arms, and before she does, she heals him and takes out the nanites that was making him indestructible. But by doing that, we see it didn't actually fix all the problems. Like he has his memories back now, and he remembers killing, he says, hundreds, if not thousands of people. And that bothers him. He looks like, he's doing that loner thing that you see in comic books a lot, where it's like, I don't know where to go, so let me just go to a small town in Colorado and pick up a job doing, maintenance on some sort of hotel, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's like a hotel.
And
drown myself in drugs and booze.
And then see a cartoon version of myself and the Geomancer K who died.
And that's funny because that's Jeff Lemire who drew the cartoon part.
Yeah.
And you could so tell it. It's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could definitely tell. It looks just like Sweet Tooth.
I thought it was beautiful. The tone is great. It's just got, you could tell how depressed the dude is. And you feel for him, you want him to get these memories out of his system. He's hallucinating. He's seeing her in his memory still. He just doesn't want to deal with any of it. So that's why he's taking all these drugs and drinking himself to just go to sleep at night.
Yeah. And he must have still have some of the abilities because he doesn't wake up with a hangover. But at the end of the book, there's a massacre going on, and it looks like that somebody's imitating him, the Bloodshot, because they call him the Red Circle Killer. And he realizes that he still has a purpose. Like he has to do something to help people, and maybe get himself on the path to redemption.
My guess is that that's what this whole storyline is going to be. Is that there's going to be multiple like Bloodshot imitators, because in the preview art for another issue 3, I guess that is. There's
another one.
Yeah. It's just another different Bloodshot guy. So yeah, he's probably going to go around and clear up all these imitators, and
another Valiant #1 that's pretty simple to jump into. Ninjak was as well.
Easy pickup.
I enjoyed this. The kid. Well, he talks about this kid who creeps him out. This little kid. And you're like, it's a kid. He can't really creep you out. And then there's a page here.
He creeps me
and he creeps me out.
He looks like Chucky.
Yeah, he does. That's Chucky. Definitely a design. But yeah, like I like this. Like I couldn't get into Bloodshot before when he had his series running, an early Valiant stuff. And I gave the rest of it a try, but I just could not get into it at all. But this was good. Like I'm excited. I like Jeff Lemire a lot, so I was going to read this no matter what, and I'm definitely going to stick with it.
Yep.
And hopefully more people do and get Valiant's numbers up.
Yes. Next we have something from Marvel. It really wasn't a big week for Marvel. It was weird.
Yeah, it was a small week.
So we have the next issue of Thor and the fight with
the Destroyer.
The Destroyer goes on, and she's having troubles, but she's holding her own.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the most beautiful books on the stands.
Dowderman is amazing. It without a doubt is definitely one of the most beautiful books on the stands. I mean, the color. Who's the colorist of this book?
I shall tell you.
It's Matthew Wilson. He does a lot of stuff. I think he does. If I'm correct, he does. What's that book? The Image book with the gods. Why is it slipping my head? I know the name of the first volume was the Faust Act. The Wicked and the Divine. Oh, okay. He does the coloring for that, I think, as well. I'll have to look at that just to make sure. But it is I'm almost positive. It's a gorgeous looking book. I mean, Russell Dowderman's art his pencils are terrific. It brings like a nice sense of change from what was coming before. It was Esad Ribic on the book before, and the first pencils I saw from Dowderman were fantastic. I want to see him doing more stuff, but I definitely want to see him continue with this character.
The funniest page out of the whole thing, Malekith is sitting up there, and he's like, they see all the worlds they can travel to,
all the realms.
Yeah, and he's like, can you just come help me kill some
elves?
Elves?
Oh yeah.
And it's just him like zoom in. Yeah, it's him just prancing around, killing people, and it's beautiful.
Doing Malekith things.
Yeah, I want more. It seems like this was a little bit late. I think it was a week off. But still, next issue we're gonna have our reveal.
Even though we kind of know who it is, or I mean, they're dropping some serious hints.
Yeah, and this issue especially, I don't want to spoil this part.
Oh come on, we got to talk about this part.
Why? Okay. So if you're reading Thor, and you don't want to know who we think it is.
No, it's not officially announced, so we could talk about it. They hint very heavily that it's Roz.
Yes. They
pretty much show her standing next to the hammer. There's a key to it later, like, a couple weeks later, now you have Thor battling the Destroyer, and they mention that, Roz took that flying car up to the moon. They find the car near where the hammer was.
And it's almost one of those things where you're like, okay, they're really pushing hard and dropping all these hints. So
that maybe it's not.
If they're going to do a turnaround, then that they're going to have some good reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Because I think this is just showing how, as a normal S.H.I.E.L.D. liaison, she could hold her own. She's kicking ass.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Taking out all these Roxxon agents and escaping. So she could totally hold her own without the hammer. And with the hammer, You know
what I like about this book so much is that she's not just Thor, like a female Thor. Like, she does things with the hammer that he can't do.
Yeah.
And like, she gets a really good example of this is that the Destroyer picks up the hammer and is using it against her, and she is getting her ass beat. But she says, there's a really good line here I'm looking for. That will be the last time you ever strike me with my own hammer. And it's shaking. Like, she gets it to shake. And we had seen before her use the hammer as a projectile where she directs it where it wants to go. And that's what she does here, is that the Destroyer is holding onto it, and then she just starts flinging him all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then she calls down the lightning to like really do some serious damage. And she gets it back at the end, and then she kisses it in good hammer. I mean,
that kiss is hilarious.
Yeah. This book, like, it ends like this. It says to be concluded, and at the end, it's the Destroyer, and or is it Kull that has come down? It's pretty much Kull, Thor's uncle, controlling the Destroyer, and Thor brings an entire legion of women to come help her fight. There's some obvious choices here: Sith and Angela and Freya, Valkyrie, but then there's some like wild choices in the back too, like Black Widow and Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman. Like, yeah, it makes some of that doesn't make any sense of why they're there, but hey, it looks beautiful, so why not?
Because a lot of people, I think it's a lot of these people are people that everyone was guessing was going to be the new Thor.
Yeah, and it's none of them.
Yeah.
The only person that they had guessed that's not here is Jane Foster.
Okay.
That's the only one, but they feel like they crossed Jane Foster off the list unless that was just a big, look over here.
They have to explain that one if they go for it.
So I mean, this is probably my second favorite Marvel book. It's been terrific ever since Jason Aaron took over it. If you haven't read when Jason Aaron took over that Thor run, the God Butcher, and what came after that was Malekith's arc that came after that.
It was 25 issues.
The Galactus stuff that came after. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's some of the best stuff
Thor
I've
God
read.
Of Thunder.
Yeah. Thor God of Thunder. Like I was not a Thor fan at all. I could not ever get into the character. And when Aaron took over the book, I'm like, it was during Marvel Now, and I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And it became one of my favorite books. The art in there was fantastic. He transitions to female Thor really well. And she's now a great character that I don't ever want to see go away. Like I want their way to be two Thors.
Well, that's another great thing about the end of the book is let's see, Thor comes through the
Odinson,
yeah, and he doesn't even mention the name Thor. Like he could have easily called himself Thor.
No, okay, yeah, he's calling himself the Odinson, and he had said that in one of the previous issues. Like, no, correct, you are Thor. I'm the Odinson.
Yeah, so he's totally accepting.
Of her
that the mantle is being passed over.
So I'm fine with her sticking around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Another quick one that we're going to talk about really fast is I thought this week's Uncanny X-Men was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of winding down on a lot of these series. Like a lot of them are going to be going away with the whole Secret Wars thing. A big Bendis fan, the both of us are. But this was a great issue because it deals with the, at the end of I think it was an issue or two ago, Scott, it's always been uncanny and all new X-Men that Bendis has been writing. And Scott decides he's no longer fit to lead his school, so he leaves them in care of the Jean Grey school. And Magic is so upset with everything that's happening, she teleports away and takes Kitty Pryde with her. And this issue is just where they go. It's standalone. It's a one-issue thing, and they go to Monster Island to help out.
So great.
To help out a New Mutant.
Yeah, like honestly, you don't have to have read anything.
You could read this just on its own.
Pick it up and read it.
Chris Anka does the art, which I thought was fantastic. And it's Bendis. You're getting a lot of interplay between the characters. You're getting a lot of talking. And these are two people who have been friends. But, Magic is not the easiest person to be friends with. Yeah. She's kind of terrifying. And Kitty is the opposite of that. And I mean, there are parts in here where Kitty is like, says something and Magic is like, that hurts my feelings. And Kitty's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's just a beautiful, like, one-shot story. I thought the end of it was pretty funny. With some of the stuff that you run into with Nightcrawler and Storm.
The Storm part was great.
It was really good.
My favorite student.
Yeah. Give this a shot. Like if you haven't been reading any X-Men and you want to jump in and just grab like a nice to read issue, Uncanny X-Men 33 is definitely that issue.
Yeah. Next, finally, you have the second issue of Sabrina. Now this took about 6 months to come out. And
yeah, that took a while. I forgot that book was in existence.
It was absolutely insane. Honestly, you can kind of just pick this up and not have to have picked up the first issue because this feels like it's the start of something anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the first, I think they do kind of need to read the first issue. Like I had forgotten so much of what happened in the beginning, but they reference stuff that happened in that first issue. Like they explain it, but
Trust me, I went back and read it.
Oh, you did read it.
And then I read this. You could easily just pick this up. To me, it feels like one of those old EC horror comics.
Okay.
Just the way that the text and the art.
It is a unique looking book for sure. I don't know any book that looks like this. It has this color palette.
I just love just how everything is almost over explained. to a sense. You know,
I get that. Yep.
let's say like when the old lady was put into the slumber spell, like it could have just ended there, but then it's continued on. Like, you know, she stays there for the rest of her life, and she, you know, continues to dream that she wants to be a movie star, and she's acting in this movie with her favorite actor. You know, just it gives more information on what's going on, and, you know, just doesn't just stop. I love it. It just has such a great feel to the book.
And it is horror. Make no mistake about it. This is a horror book.
It deals with the town of Salem and witches and covens of witches, and it is bloody and gory.
And it's almost unsettling in a way. Like it's one of those books that leave you and you're like, ooh, like this is a bit of like unnerving in a way.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I liken it to one of those old EC books, because that's how it was. You would read one of those stories, and, you know, I mean, there were some of those I read and I would not want to go outside afterwards because...
See, that doesn't seem fun to me.
Oh, well, that's why I don't like horror stuff.
Yeah, I don't like horror stuff either.
But man, Archie Comics killing it with their horror line. I highly recommend this.
Now, hopefully it doesn't take 6 months for the next issue to come out.
No, they kind of reference it in the back.
What, did they give a reason for it?
No, but...
Like, hey, sorry, guys, like this.
Oh, Acolytes of Darkness, it's been far too long since we last spoke. There are a myriad of reasons for the delay between our debut and the issue you're currently holding in your hands, both foreseeable and unforeseeable, but none are excusable. So let me begin by apologizing for the holdup. Okay. So, you know, they're sincere about it.
All right.
So, but the next book that I quickly want to talk about is The Tithe from Top Cow and Image. This has a very, very interesting concept. It's kind of like a heist movie, but it deals with the mega churches.
Yep.
You know, you have these mega churches that are just cash cows, basically, just bringing in
millions.
Yeah, exactly. That's what a tithe is. And so now you have these Robin Hood type criminals that started off just electronically effing with churches to take that money and give it to proper charities. Then you have an FBI squad going after those hackers. And now that they can't do it electronically anymore because they have an agent who's way too good with computers to, you know, to even
mess with.
Yeah, exactly. So now they have to physically go into these churches and steal cash. So
problem.
Yeah,
it's a heist. It's a heist book, and it deals with these churches. And what I liked about it was, you know, usually you have a heist, and then the police are like, oh, like you know, we'll take your statement, we'll catch these guys. The thing is, like, the FBI knows that these guys are only hitting corrupt churches, so it's like, oh, you guys get hit, you guys better lawyer up and like get ready because you're all probably going to jail. But like, and it was interesting because the one of the agents is in contact with them, with the team that's doing it, and it's like, you know, they're kind of toying with him in a way, but in a way he admires what they're doing. Like, he appreciates the fact that they're taking down these people who are in a way completely stealing the public's money. And
yeah, he definitely appreciates it, but he's pissed because he was already going after those churches to get them shut down by the proper channels.
Yeah, legally.
So,
and they're kind of circumventing that.
Correct. Yeah. I highly recommend it. And even if you're like kind of religious, it doesn't just go and trash on religion. So
it doesn't.
You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I liked it.
Cool.
What do you want to end with, Justin?
We're going to end with a book that you really like that I was kind of iffy on for a while. And that's Spiderman and the X-Men. This took the place of Wolverine and the X-Men. This is issue 5. I've read all 4 issues, and I've been like, wishy-washy on it. Like, some parts are funny, some parts aren't. Like, so the basic premise is that Spider-Man is now a teacher at the Jean Grey School, and that, of course, because it's Spider-Man, all the teachers hate him for some reason and forget that he's teamed up with them like hundreds of times.
That's how it always is.
I know, it's just the dumbest thing in the world. But, you know, like, you have Storm and Rachel Summers just being complete jerks to him. but he takes on the class that, I mean, if you're a longtime X-Men fan and you read some of what was it? Some all new X-Men from Morrison, and then some stuff that came after that that happened in what's it called? Wolverine and the X-Men. It's this misfit class of students that like nobody else really wants. They're like they're the outsiders of the outsiders. You know. So he becomes their professor, and the first arc was them running around, getting stuck in the Savage Land without it actually being in the Savage Land. I think they turned Staten Island into the Savage Land.
Yes.
But this book deals with them. You know, it's a continuation of a previous issue where Spider-Man and Beast are having a science fair, and they're having like a science competition. And I forget exactly what happens, but they end up with symbiotes everywhere, and so they have to like shut them down. And there's a portal they can go to that'll bring them to a space station where Sword is. And they go through there, and this book is hilarious.
It is.
I mean, this is where the book changed for me and actually got funny.
I love Spider-Man's like interactions with Firestar. Because it harkens back to like the old Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends cartoon. They kind of like almost make fun of it.
There was a line in here that I sent you that I liked so much. It's right here. No, it's right here.
Oh, there it is.
So they go through this portal, and he says like Rockslide, like find a way to protect the gate, or we can't let them use the Banff gate. So they're trying to figure a way to turn it off. So Rockslide just smashes it in half, and then it's like, now we're stuck here with no backup. And none of us have flame or sonic powers. And he's like, oh geez, sorry boss, I can't believe I killed everybody again. It's like
perfect. Yeah.
It's just like just a funny thing. And what Spider-Man quips right back at him is great. You know, playing off of the fact that everybody hates him. It's like, this book is like, to me, like this was the issue that I needed from this title to get me really invested in it and more about these characters and the humor. And like Spider-Man's been searching for a mole in the organization, in the school. And that's what Wolverine has asked him to do, but none of the other teachers know it.
Yeah.
And at the end, they reveal who the mole is and who the mole's working for. It's ridiculous, but you know, it's ridiculous in like a fun way.
It's one of those, you know, fun, silly Marvel books. It's not supposed to be.
It's not. Yeah, it's not supposed to be serious in any way. But you know what? Like, this is kind of what I needed to read at the moment I needed to read it. And like maybe at the other times it was like I was looking for something else when reading it. But this particular issue happened to be just at the right time.
So do you think if you go back with that mindset,
I could probably read the other ones and pick out stuff? Like I read the other ones. I gave it a fair chance. It's just like nothing like just grabbed it about me. And maybe it was because they were dealing with symbiotes. And like, that's a big Spider-Man thing.
No, I'm telling you, dude, you're going to go back. And you're going to find at least 2 or 3 moments in each of those books, because each has gotten like a guffaw out of me. So
I know exactly what that sounds like from you. Yeah, that's the best part.
I did it multiple times tonight.
So that wraps up books of the week.
That's all we talked about.
Oh, that's right. Well, we talked about trailers.
Oh, I know.
Well, that wraps up the show. How's that? That better?
Books of the week is a different show.
Whatever. It's our books of the week. I don't know what else to call it. They can't trademark everything.
Okay. Stay tuned for the lightning round.
Oh God.
Okay.
We're just gonna take over, and let's not do that. Yeah. Again, thank you guys for the positive feedback. We really look forward to doing this. We're 5 in now. We think we're finally hitting our stride. Reach out to us if there's anything that you guys want us to read. Like, tweet us, talk to us, let us know what you think of the show, what you're reading that you like. If you disagree and you think Convergence is the best thing ever, please tell us. Please tell me, so that way I can like get on board and fully understand what's going on, because like the both of us really like comics, and we try not to be overly negative. If we don't like something, we're not going to try and like bash it down. I know lots of other websites, like we saw an article right before from Kotaku that was like a Batman comic about a story about Batman meeting his dad shouldn't be this bad. And it's like, I don't think that's particularly helpful for the medium. And we want to do something different. We want to try and find the best of everything. So if you like something that we don't like, talk to us about it. Help us come around on it. There's plenty of books that I've given other second chances to, third chances to. I'm sure Rob, the same thing, where we look at it in different light, and it takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you.
So that'll do it for us. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We're Backup Stories on Twitter. My personal Twitter is at Joroak, Joroak.
And I'm at Dusk1020.
You evil bastard. Every week we are on the Talking Games podcast with Steve Say and Jackie Turner, who is actually sleeping to our left.
Hi, Jackie.
Oh, she waves.
Yay.
Fantastic. Reach out to us there. We had a great discussion this week on Bloodborne. What else did we talk about? We talked about Titan Souls, Bastion, a couple other games, Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
So definitely check that out. And you could reach us at all those places. So that's going to do it, guys. Until next week, take care.